Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more inspiring English stories. Fluency in English is something many people dream of. I remember when I was a student, just like you, I wanted to speak English well. I wanted to be confident, but I was shy and made many mistakes. One day my teacher told me, "You can be fluent if you practice every day." That sentence changed my life. When you want something, you must work for it. Fluency doesn't happen overnight. It is like planting a tree. You put the seed in the ground, water it, and give it sunlight. Every day, you take care of it. Then, one day, the tree grows strong. The same is true for fluency. One day, a student came to me looking very sad. She said, "Teacher, I want to speak English, but I always forget the words." I smiled and said, "Don't worry. Fluency is not about remembering all the words. It is about practice." Her eyes filled with hope. "But how can I practice?" she asked. I told her, "Practice is everywhere. Talk to your friends, listen to stories, sing songs. You can practice every moment of the day." When I was in school, I loved stories. Every night I listened to them. My teacher read to us, and I repeated the words. At first, I was slow, but with time, I became faster. I learned new words and my confidence grew. Another student asked me, "Teacher, is fluency only about speaking fast?" I said, "No, fluency is about speaking clearly and making others understand you. You don't have to speak quickly. You have to speak with confidence." There was once a boy in my class who spoke very fast, but no one understood him. I told him, "Slow down, speak clearly, use simple words." He listened, and soon everyone could understand him. He became more confident and enjoyed speaking in English. Fluency is like a journey. You take one step at a time. You don't rush, you enjoy the process. One day, you look back and see how far you have come. There is a secret to fluency. It is a simple secret. The secret is to listen. Listen to others speaking English. Listen to stories. Listen to songs. Listen to conversations. The more you listen, the more you learn. I once knew a girl who loved music. She listened to English songs every day. Soon, she started singing along. Her fluency improved because she was listening and repeating. Another important thing is to not be afraid of mistakes. Mistakes are our best teachers. I remember a student who was afraid of making mistakes. She didn't speak because she thought others would laugh at her. I told her, "Do not worry about mistakes. Every mistake is a lesson." One day, she decided to speak in class. She made many mistakes, but she kept going. After some time, she became better. She told me, "Teacher, I am not afraid anymore." That was the day she started to become fluent. Fluency is also about thinking in English. When you think in English, you start speaking more naturally. I once had a student who always translated from his language to English. This made him slow and confused. I told him, "Try to think in English. Even when you are alone, think in English." He tried this, and slowly he became more fluent. There was another student who loved to talk. He would talk about anything and everything, but he had a problem. He would start a sentence in English and then switch to his native language. I told him, "Stay in English. Even if you don't know a word, try to explain it in English." This helped him stay focused, and soon he was speaking only in English. Reading is another way to gain fluency. When you read, you see how sentences are formed and learn new words. I remember when I was learning English, I read simple books. Every time I found a new word, I wrote it down and tried to use it in a sentence. This helped me remember and use words in conversation. One day, a student came to me with a book. She said, "Teacher, I read this book, but I didn't understand everything." I told her, "That's okay. The more you read, the more you will understand." She continued reading every day. After some time, she said, "Now I understand much more." Her fluency improved because she was reading and learning every day. Fluency is also about listening to yourself. Sometimes you need to record yourself speaking and then listen to it. Find areas where you can improve. I once had a student who did this every day. She recorded herself reading a story, then listened to the recording. This made her more aware of her speech, and soon she became fluent. Practicing with a friend is another great way to improve fluency. I had two students who were best friends. They decided to speak only in English with each other. Every day they had conversations in English, helping each other with words. Over time, both became fluent. They learned from each other and enjoyed the process. Fluency also comes from using the language in real-life situations. When you go to the market, try to speak in English. When you are with friends, use English. The more you use the language, the more fluent you become. I had a student who worked in a shop. He decided to speak only in English with his customers. At first, it was difficult, but with time, he became more confident and fluent. Fluency is also about being curious. When you hear a new word, don't ignore it. Find out what it means and try to use it in your next conversation. I remember a student who was very curious. Every time he heard a new word, he asked me what it meant. Then, he tried to use that word as much as possible. His vocabulary grew, and so did his fluency. It is also important to have a goal. Ask yourself, why do I want to be fluent in English? When you have a clear goal, you are more motivated. I knew a student who wanted to travel to an English-speaking country. Every day, she practiced English because she wanted to be ready for her trip. Her goal kept her motivated, and she became fluent before she traveled. Fluency takes time, but if you enjoy the journey, it becomes easier. I had a student who loved watching English movies. Every night he watched one movie. At first, he used subtitles, but after a while, he started watching without them. He enjoyed the movies, and at the same time, his fluency improved. Fluency is about repetition. The more you repeat, the better you become. I had a student who loved repeating sentences. He heard something in class and said it over and over. This helped him remember, and soon he was using those sentences in daily conversation. Speaking with different people also helps. Every person has a different way of speaking. When you talk to different people, you learn new styles. I had a shy student who only spoke to me. I encouraged him to speak to others. At first, he was nervous, but with time, he became more comfortable and fluent. The road to fluency is not always easy, but it is always rewarding. Just like a river flows steadily toward the ocean, your efforts will carry you closer to your goal. Fluency is not just about speaking with ease. It's about connecting with the world and sharing your unique voice. Every word you learn, every sentence you speak, is a step forward. Keep learning, keep speaking, and let your voice be heard. And now, I have a question for you. What inspires you to keep going on your journey to fluency? I would love to hear your thoughts.